Hello, my name is Jimmy and this is the 2022 Nissan Rogue, and today we're going to find out exactly how well it can family. So let's check out the interior. Alright, and welcome to the cabin of the Rogue. As you can see, I already have my Clek Foonf installed here on the passenger side in rear facing. It's currently a recline number 3, which means it's as tilted as it really can be. In terms of just the space in the rear here, the door openings are nice and wide. The doors themselves open a good 90 degrees, and because of the roofline, your child, well, they don't have to like bonk their head as they go inside. It does make it nice and easy. If you're installing an infant seat, this is the Clek Liing here, as you can see on the driver's side. Once again, no problems installing this seat, plenty of space, and thanks to those 90-degree opening doors, getting the infant carrier in there, it's a breeze. Really, really simple. If your child's a little bit older, here's a Clek Flow in forward facing. Also, no problems in here, very easy to install. You can remove the headrest if it comes in contact with the back of the forward-facing seat. So that's something that you can do if you need. In terms of lower anchors, within the Rogue there are 5 lower anchors, but 3 set that you can only use 2 at a time. Set on the passenger side, the middle one and the driver one is shared, which means that you can only use one or the other. So you can have seat here on the passenger side, seat in the center, or a seat in the center and none on the driver's side. You can't share the driver and the middle seat together. What some might be asking is like, oh, can I put 2 child seats and then have, someone sitting on the driver's side? Technically, no, because that lower anchor of where it is, it's actually overlaps the seatbelt buckle that's for the driver's side. So you wouldn't be able to buckle your seatbelt in on the driver's side if you have 2 child seats installed in the middle and the side here. But what you can do is you can have your child seat installed in the outboard and try to squeeze into the middle. It is possible, but it's a tight squeeze. In terms of upper anchors, yes, there are 3 behind the bench. However, because there's no plastic guard around it, it just makes it a little bit harder for it to find. Do make sure it's installed correctly before proceeding with this forward-facing seat. In terms of the trunk space, it's actually quite large. There's a divider that you can use here, but as you can see, I have my baby Zen Yo-Yo. That fits in here with no problems. Or full-size stroller like this Up a Baby Cruise does also fit. However, I was not able to place it upright or lengthways. I had to put it sideways within the trunk here. Anyways, let's go through a full install. I want to show you a video exactly how I installed all these child seats inside the Rogue. Alright, so I guess we'll start it off with the Liing base here on the driver's side. As mentioned before, there are 5 lower anchors within the Rogue. So I'm just going to use the one that's on the driver's side here to get the Liing base installed. I'm going to extend the leg here first. Pull out the lower anchors. Super easy to click them in. Do this push. And then check. Less than an inch of wiggle. And we're installed. It's just that easy. Of course, you got to make sure that the level. And let's put the carrier in. So loosen up. That's it. Oh, I should have checked the little leg, but no, here it is. The yeah, like I said, the Liing is super easy to install within this vehicle. There's really nothing to it. The headrest is removed for the forward-facing seat that I'll install a little bit later, but you don't have to do that for the Liing here. But if you want the Liing in the center, you do have that kind of like lower anchor in the center, which you can use in conjunction with the one that's on the driver's side here. So that one is not for like doubling, so you can't install 2 seats, like 2 lower anchors on, or 2 child seats on 1 lower anchor, I should say. But that's really it. Nice and easy. Let's get this up. We'll put the forward-facing seat in first, so that I don't have to move the camera. Oh, and if you're installing the Liing base, one thing that I have found, this button here, a lot of people are like, oh, you gotta just press it and it'll release. But what it is, you press it and you slide it backwards. you see this like little red mark move. So you press it down, and you slide it towards the base, then it'll release the lower anchors. All right. Here's my flow. As you can see, I already have my child in here, which you should never do. Never carry your child inside the car seat. So I'm gonna take Lotso out. Lotso. He's also a little too small to be in a forward-facing seat. All right. So installing a flow here for forward-facing, there's two ways of installing it. You can use the lower anchors, or you can use your seatbelt method. Your lower anchors, it's a combined maximum of 65 pounds. So chances is, if you're moving to forward facing, you won't be using the lower anchors. Most likely you'll be using the seatbelt. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Seatbelt method, super easy. You just gotta run it behind the seat and make sure it's behind the harness that the seat actually has. At this point, what I like to do is I like to move the seat a little bit forward, just to make my life a little easier as I'm threading it through. And then once I find the other side with my finger here, grab it, grab a little bit more slack, and buckle that in. I like to pull this anchor sometimes, or the buckle. Gosh, forgetting all my English here. I like to pull the buckle just to make sure it's all the way out, because sometimes what can happen is it can be actually just like a little bit inside this little slot here. So you want to make sure that's as far out as possible. I'm going to make sure that the base is flat against the bottom cushion, which it currently is. I'm going to thread the seat belt through this belt path. I'm going to make sure the lower belt is in the right place. Now, for me to tighten this, what I want to do is I actually want to push down and back as I tighten it. A lot of seats, like a lot of people, what they do is they just pull and pull and pull on the belt path here. Doesn't really work. So what you can do is, I like to put my left hand kind of on the base here, and I push down. And as you push down, I use my right hand to pull up. As you can see, that's getting tighter. And once it's at the right spot, just because I've been doing this for a while, I know exactly where that latch is. So I can just close that latch with my right hand, and of course use my left hand to adjust. Now I'm going to use my non-dominant hand to see if it wiggles more than an inch, which it definitely does. So this is definitely not installed properly just yet. Let's undo that part and tighten her up again. Oh, this is not the right place as well. It's very important that the belt path is in the correct place. Sometimes that could lead to, well, things not being installed properly. Okay. Well, that's still not good. Let's see here. There we go. That's much better. So that part is installed. Now we got to do the upper anchor, which I'll catch up now. So the upper anchor with the Rogue is a little bit weird. Instead of having like a plastic piece around it, it's inside here, and you can see where that upper anchor is. Just makes it a little bit more difficult to get access to, but it's not like horrible. Make sure the harness isn't floppy. You want to make sure that's straight, and then you buckle it in, and it's just that easy. I like to put it on the side like this. It's kind of hard to see, but I like to put it on the side just to make sure that's actually in the latch. You don't want to like accidentally be on something else. And then tighten that up. You want to tighten this up so much that, well, it's tight, but you don't want to pull the seat up. So there's a line essentially that you want to draw here. But that's good there. And then to make that pretty, I'll just put that there. But that's your forward-facing seat installed. Just gonna double check. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. Yeah, that's really good. Let's do a rear-facing on the passenger side, because that's actually what I'll be using. Getting the rear-facing flow, or Foonf I should say, installed here, not difficult. First thing you want to do is move that passenger seat forward just so that you get the most amount of space here to work with. You want to make sure it's at the right recline level for your child's needs. So right now I'm on recline number 3. You can put it on recline number 2 really for my child's weight, but he likes it a little bit more tilted like this, so we put on 3. So I'm gonna take the base out first because the install will require me to get access to these latches down here. So I'll get that uninstalled first. There are 2 ways that you can install Foonf in rear facing: seatbelt or the lower anchors that is actually built into the base here. I personally don't like to use the lower anchors. I mean, technically for my child's weight, I can, but I don't, because I want to show people the seatbelt method more than the lower anchors. That just goes back down to the lower anchors taking a maximum weight of 65 pounds, and that's together with your child and the seat. Can't remember exactly how much the seat weighs, but it's like 30 odd pounds or something like that, which means once your child is over like 30 odd pounds, you will have to go through the seatbelt method. So might as well just use that. It's safer. Well, not necessarily safer, I shouldn't say that. It's probably just easier for you to learn how to install the seat as you move down and as your child grows. That's what I should say, because it's not safer with the seatbelt or the lower anchors if it's under the 65-pound total. Anyways, let's put the seat and install it in here. Just want to make sure the base is correctly aligned, no gaps, and then rub the seat belt through. And just like the other side, I like to tug that seatbelt just to make sure. All right, want to make sure that this seatbelt here is within the belt path. Very, very important. Then what I like to do is, as you're installing this, some cars you can get in the back and push down and back. I'm just too big to do that in behind the Foonf here. So this is what I like to do. I like to push down on the base on this plastic part here. So as I push that down, I'm pulling the seatbelt up. So this is what I do. Put my hand here and I use this aside, kind of has like a little bit of leverage, and then I push it down. And as I push it down, I want to make sure that I'm feeding the bottom seatbelt through. So that way I get a nice and sturdy install. Once I have it to where I think it's good, I'm going to hold it with my left hand and then put these latches down. Once I put one, I can release and then check my install. At belt path, non-dominant hand, less than an inch. So yeah, that ain't going anywhere. I can shake the entire car. So with this space now here on front, what I would like to do generally is move the front seat back to where it's almost touching the seat. Depending on your seat manufacturer as well as the car, it could vary on if they can touch or not. So do check that in your owner's manual. But I like to give the passenger in front as much space as possible here. Perfect. So there's still a gap in here. I can fit my entire hand through actually, so that's not a problem at all. And let's get the base installed, or the bottom cushion. There is corn in here. My son ate corn yesterday. There's dried corn in here. Cool. Base bottom cushion, super easy to put back. You just thread the buckle in between the slot. There are 2 slots, just make sure you're using the correct one. Oh, I'm caught on the seatbelt. Or harness, I should really say. There are 2 buckle slots, that's right down the bottom here and here. Just gotta make sure they're poking through, which they are, so that's perfect. And then, never forget this crotch padding piece. And that's installed. Nice and easy, nice and sturdy, good for your entire family, or for your child anyways. One thing I do want to point out, the seatbelt. Something I really like to do is install the seatbelt, or sorry, not install the seatbelt. When my child is going in and out of the vehicle, I like to put the seatbelt just off to the side like this, and I'll put it, the little latch plate, into the side, so that way it's out of the way, so it's easier for you to put your child in and out of the car. I like that the most. But that's really it. That's a full install of the Clek Foonf, Flow, and Liing inside the Rogue. There is technically enough space for a person in the middle. I'm not going to do that because if I get in, I probably won't be able to get back out. But the Rogue is actually wide enough for you to fit smaller person in the center. Not enough for you to fit a child seat though. I did try 3 child seats across, just couldn't do it, just not wide enough. But yeah, that's really it. Thanks so much for watching.